Don't blow a gasket, because we're going to talk about caskets. Find out what this story is all about. Coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at Graves Pools and Spas on Highway 544 in Socastee between the Intercoastal Waterway and South Carolina 31. We're focused on the after-death care industry, and we're visiting with Jim Bowdre. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning.
Thank you so much. I meant to say the territory manager with Batesville Casket Company. Am I correct?
Correct.
Territory manager with Batesville Casket Company, and of course someone who knows this area very well. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you. Been coming to this area for 28 years now.
Is that
traveling
right?
in? Mm-hmm.
Of course, both the Palmetto State, the Tar Heel State, and I guess the Virginia. I don't know what that is. What state is that? The Hokie State. The
Old Dominion is
Old Dominion.
Old Dominion.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. That's a popular way to call Virginia. A lot happening these days.
Right.
Of
Sure
course, really exciting. We want to highlight that tomorrow night, a big event. I know later today you're heading to Columbia, but a big event going on tomorrow night. If viewers need to get off to work now or get family off to school, we want to make sure they check out. What's the event going on tomorrow night?
Mercy Hospice and Palliative Care is having an annual fundraising event. It's their 6th year of doing this, where it's the Mardi Gras kind of festival, and it's a reverse raffle. The Band of Oz will be playing at Dynamite.
The Band of Oz, the Shamalama Ding Dong.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So all you shaggers, come on out. You know, you'll have a good time. But it'll be heavy hors d'oeuvres, free wine and beer.
Right.
I guess it's hard to say that.
Yeah.
There'll be an opportunity for a $100 donation, tax-free donation, to chance to win a reverse raffle for $5,000.
5,000? Wait, did you say that? $5,000 just by making a donation to Mercy Hospice of $100.
And get Sister Connie Fahey to bless the ticket, because the ticket she blessed last year actually won.
Oh, come on!
I couldn't believe it.
Is that right?
I mean, excuse me, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
But it was unreal.
And she only blessed one ticket. And it was
right,
the winner
to my knowledge,
year.
it was.
Yeah.
And it actually won.
That's
I couldn't
amazing.
believe it.
Well, let's hope they gave the $5,000 back to the church back to Sister Fahey last year. How exciting.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. I mean, I couldn't believe it, because I was actually drawing the tickets out.
Oh, you're kidding. You were there with your beautiful bride, Carol.
Right.
And she is involved with Mercy Hospice.
Right, she's Director of Development for Mercy.
Great. The 347-5500 number, is that a good number for folks to call today?
Correct. And ask for Carol Bowdre or anyone pertaining to the Mardi Gras event.
The Mardi Gras benefit bash up there. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be held where?
At Dynamite's, by the big Marines.
Up at Doc Holidays.
Right.
Right. That's a great area up there. Real easy to find.
Yeah. Cindy Uliucci has helped Carol a lot in setting that up. In fact, Carol and Cindy went to high school together in Fayetteville.
Is that right?
So
in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Yeah, right on the border of our viewing area here.
Right.
Yeah. And, of course, that is last year. It wasn't up there at Dynamite's last year. It was at a smaller venue, right?
Right. Down at Broadway at the beach. Is where
they've been having such big crowds there. They decided to move it to a bigger location, I think.
Right. So they could have a band,
right,
and so forth. So
the Band of Oz. That's tremendous.
Yeah, we were real excited, or Carol was, about being able to get that band and entertain, and they'll have heavy hors d'oeuvres, like I say, and it'll be a good evening.
Well, obviously, our real focus was to get you in to talk a little bit about the funeral home industry, or the after-death. You mentioned the after-death care industry, obviously, but surely the opportunity. Mercy Hospice and palliative care ties into a great degree. Is that how Carol got involved with Mercy Hospice? Had she been following your career and obviously working with Batesville?
I wished I could take credit for her career, but she's been involved in nonprofits for over a decade. Back at home in Bennettsville, where our permanent home is.
Sure.
And she worked for PD Coalition. For the Helping Hands Hospice, they call it now in Marlboro County.
Right.
She was in charge of fundraising for that, for a facility, an on-site facility.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then she did fundraising for the PD Coalition, which for abused mothers and spouses,
right.
children. They do a great. They have a great effort forth to help families in need and so forth.
Well, I
They
remember
do a
when
good job.
Carol was with us there at Ace Hardware up on 79th, and she mentioned that a number of folks in Batesville, in y'all's home community, had seen her on the show, and Northland Cable up there. I know Fox TV is on Channel 7 up there in Batesville as well as a good over-the-air signal. Marlboro County's got a lot going on right now, and if that's your permanent home.
Correct. Right. We moved there several years ago when my oldest daughter was skiing on a competitive level, and we bought a home on a lake so I could work out with her. And she did that for several years. Skied on the Clemson ski team. And
she was on the Clemson ski team. Is that right? I can't imagine they even have a ski team. Wow.
Yeah, they competed with several Southeast Conference or the schools, throughout the.
Is she still
about 12 schools
competing?
No, she's a mother now, raising 2 children.
Is that
and
right?
a nurse.
She's the one at Waccamaw Community Hospital.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
You and Carol have how many girls?
3.
3 girls, Jim.
And,
Payback.
And we've stopped counting.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. No mas. Yeah.
3.
Wow. How exciting, Jim.
So they keep
Where are your
us
other
busy.
2 girls?
The middle daughter, Holly, is in med school at in Columbia at USC. And then my youngest of the 3 lives here at the beach.
Okay,
and
good.
Is in the restaurant, pursuing a career in a restaurant. She attended Coastal Carolina, but she's trying to learn the restaurant business, from serving to bartending, the whole deal. We're not sure what she'll do with it, but she's enjoying herself.
Take her time. We've got actually one of the professors from Coastal on tomorrow, Dr. Taylor DeMont, in the restaurant and tourism, resort tourism management program.
Right, that's the program. That's a very good program.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to getting him in, and obviously, and I think he and you have something in common. He may not wear his ring as often as you do, but I believe he's a graduate of Virginia Tech as well. Your alma mater there.
Yeah, very good. I'm not sure. I don't remember that they were 13,000 students when I was there. Frank Beaver and I did share several classes together.
Is that right? Yeah, the football coach.
Right.
How exciting, Jim.
Yeah, we were acquaintances. I won't say we were close friends, but
right.
Anyway.
What got you? Now, did you originally grow up in Virginia or in
Carolina? On a dairy farm, a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week business.
Is that right? You worked in the family business?
Right, in the dairy business, and it was a tough. It was. I determined. My mother was an educator, so I was determined to get an education, so I wouldn't have to work all the time on the farm.
so that prompted me that. Yeah.
But anyway, so I did, after finishing school, taught high school math for 4 years, and we were under the block system, which I don't think many schools are still under, but there were 2-hour classes instead of 50-minute classes.
Huh.
And the whole school year was encompassed just a semester.
Is that
right? So by doubling up on the class hours, you would go a half a year and be done.
Oh, so you could work the dairy business, for instance.
Well, right, or whatever, because I was out. What you did is you taught 2 classes one semester, 3 the next.
Oh, excuse me, of course. That's right. You're saying you were teaching then, but for your students, that was good to be able to get out and do something
else. Well, it was early,
else.
because I was used to getting up early back then anyway, but the schools would start, because they would use, the high schools would start even earlier, because they'd use the same buses for the elementary schools. It was a county where they were trying to pinch pennies, I guess, or conserve monetarily, which they did. And I loved the system, because I was out by 11 o'clock on one semester and one by the next, the following. So it gave me time to pursue other endeavors, and that's when I started actually helping a local funeral director there on his farm.
Is that right?
And then I got kind of amalgamated to working towards the funeral industry, and saw how giving and caring people who are associated with that industry are, and became interested in it. If you really like people, which you really have to like people to be in the funeral industry, because it requires a lot of dedication, and if you love people, you'll be real good in the industry. And then most of the folks I know in the industry really like people, and that's why it's a good giving industry. And that's how I kind of gravitated towards that, and was in graduate school at the time to pursue being a principal, etc.
Right,
and
right.
Did a reversal and went to mortuary science school and became licensed and started working in the funeral business.
And you actually worked in one there in Virginia, or is that when you were?
Well,
I saw at
Virginia,
some point
North
you
Carolina.
segued into North Carolina.
Right.
Yeah, it was close to
it was right on the Virginia line. And
Okay.
Gentlemen owned two firms, across the line from each other. So I, became licensed in both states.
States,
and
yeah.
Most states, if you completing your mortuary science school,
right,
you have the opportunity to take a national board, which I did, and you can become nationally board certified, which a lot of my customers are, and then that requires, or a lot of states will accept that. If you just move to that state and establish residency, and you already have your 5 years experience, they'll automatically issue your license.
5 years experience, Jim?
Right. Well, that's
yeah.
if you're being transferred or are transferring to another state.
Right.
Already, that way, funeral director, mortician, professional funeral providers can move from one state to the other if they're nationally board certified and presume a career in that state.
That is fascinating. So it was purely coincidental that you got into the industry. You were obviously teaching math in that program to become a principal, and then we're helping somebody out. That's fascinating. Now, of course,
amazing.
Being in education, those are folks who love people, whether they love children or otherwise. I mean, they have to love people to be educators or principals, assumably.
Yeah, I had a high school math teacher that was I thought was a great teacher, and he just totally inspired me to do the same thing. And that's why I pursued that, and then with my connection with my mother. But so that's.
You talked about regulation. Not to cut you off, Jim. You're thinking about regulation. How is the industry regulated? Is it self-regulated, or is it state-regulated, federally regulated? Federal.
When I first got in the industry back in the early '70s, it basically was not regulated from the standpoint of pricing and that kind of thing.
Right.
Of course, our industry has been state regulated since the early '30s as far as licensing procedures.
Right.
That sort of thing. Kind of the same with making sure you've got a teaching certificate if you're going to teach, or you got a license to practice medicine or pharmacy or any of the other professions like that.
Why is it important that it's licensed and regulated like that, Jim?
Well, it's critical, I think, to keep the professionalism up in any organization.
Right.
Keep it, to have it, certain regulations in place, procedures that you have to follow to become licensed.
Sure.
Et cetera. And then it's for your own personal protection as well, because obviously going to mortuary science college, you learn certain aspects of the industry that would protect you personally. For example, we would get, unfortunately, people who would die prematurely in an automobile accident, and you had, exposed parts of the human anatomy, and if you weren't trained to pick up on certain diseases that could have been prevalent, so you could take necessary practices or steps to protect yourself. So it was a 2-year, or is a 2-year course, and you have to be able to obviously learn about the pathogens that are out there and how they react to the human body, and be able to recognize those and so forth.